Hello, this is my inner world for Tuesday, and I want to thank my paid subscribers for sending in questions. I'll get to a couple of them today and the rest next week. This is for everybody to enjoy, though. I've got a good question from a beginning therapist. She asks, after decades of working with adults with ADHD, what belief have you changed about since the beginning of your career? Well, that's an interesting question, and believe it or not, maybe this is some lack in me, but I haven't changed my basic belief. Right away, after working with so many clients, right away at a special clinic for adults with learning differences in a counseling agency, I was able to see over and over again that what adults need is relief from the shame that their executive function causes them. Right away, I was able to see that strategies are great, but that's not what the fundamental is when working with adults as a therapist for people with ADHD. So my belief then and my belief now is for them to be able to see themselves clearly, probably like it is for any client coming into therapy. For these neurodivergent clients, I'm telling young therapists that your ability to see them, empathize with them, offer them understanding and to be seen for the first time in their life is a powerful tool. So that's how I saw it back then, and I still believe that now. And she asked, what advice do I have for new professionals entering the field, especially working with neurodivergent clients? Well, this has developed over the years, where I've developed my core principles that I talk about, and moving from a more traditional model to a more humanistic model, where you can, which really relies on you as a therapist, changing your internal ideas about how to measure your success with these clients, from people improving their executive function as a measure of success to improving the way they view themselves. They come in with a very distorted sense of self, and your goal at the beginning is to hold a larger frame for them to see until they can hold on to it themselves and see themselves differently. This is sort of a shift in moving from what I call a personhood model from a pathology model, not viewing them as something pathological to cure, but a way to heal them by seeing themselves whole. Sort of a focus on themselves versus just the symptoms as the focus of your work together, and moving toward radical acceptance instead of just trying to get over to match some kind of outer view of themselves that matches some cultural ideal they've internalized. So there's some beginning things to think about as a new therapist that can be very healing and very powerful. So thank you. Another question I had for this week from a subscriber was about relationships, which is such a big issue for everyone with ADHD. This person happens to be a woman. She says, the biggest challenge while doing the inner work around my late diagnosed ADHD is in relational friction, as she's changed and she's showing up differently. And any family systems, when someone changes even in a healthy way, it's going to cause friction, and you're going to get what we call in the systems thinking change back messages, where people are don't want you to change. They don't want to give up power. And often people with ADHD, when they go on medication, especially women, they're able to stay in a fight for the first time. They're able to maintain their voice. They're able to voice their differences, and sometimes that can increase friction in a relationship. So you have to realize that if you stick with it and you're not going against anybody, you're just sticking with what's best for you, and not blaming other people, but not blaming yourself either, and not putting yourself in a one-down position. Eventually, your relationships are going to reorganize at a better and healthier place. But expect some friction when you start to be you, when you start to show up differently. So your goal is to stay authentic in them, one small step at a time. And when you realize that's your goal, you won't maybe be quite as subject to the feelings of rejection. When you start to see yourself clearly, value yourself, have enough other people in your life, that can see you clearly, you won't buy into other people's negative opinions of you, or they won't be able to hook you so easily. So because you'll know it's not true if they're characterizing you negatively. So that's my just off the top response to the difficulty, but the importance of keep on with it, even though it's going to feel strange. You feel great all of a sudden being diagnosed, seeing yourself differently, and not everybody around you is going to welcome that. So I want you to remember that. And I think I'll save some of these for next week because there's so many good ones. So that was my inner world, letting you hear some of the inner world questions that people have. And again, send me your questions if you're a paid subscriber, because I want to share them with all of our subscribers. So thank you, and I'll talk to you next time.